A year ago, I was hosting a small gathering at my house. Among all the guests was my friend Justin, an excellent pianist, if you know him. So at one point of the evening, Justin decides to sit down on the piano and play a fantastic, beautiful melody. Within 3 notes, the atmosphere and the tone of the room completely shifted. It went from tense and discussion to a more tone of enjoyment. Heads start shaking, faces lit up, and people start singing along. Now I'm sure the melody will be sounding familiar to most of the parents sitting here today. Even to people who doesn't know this song, this is a pretty beautiful melody. But the name of the song is knowingly 海阔天空 by Hong Kong band Beyond. It's also an unofficial Cantonese Guangdong province song, known as our Guangdong Shengge. What happened next actually shocks me more. My friends coming across from different cities, Shantou, Foshan, Shenzhen, they all start singing along with Justin's playing, creating a perfect harmony. However, I was quite confused. As someone who has been living in Canton for almost 10 years in my life, that's my first time of hearing that song. And I have never heard of it or known it even before. So I started considering, why didn't I notice? And I found it out because for a very long time of my life, I didn't identify myself as a Cantonese person. In fact, I actively rejected this role. If you were asked me where I came from, I'd probably sign, because that requires a long, exhausting explanation about my history, my backgrounds, where my parents came from. I could tell you where I spent my kindergarten, my primary school, my middle school, then my high school. But that takes a lot of time, and people don't want you to know that much when they first met you and ask you simple questions. When my family settled down in Guangdong, I convinced myself that this time, just like other time, was the same. I'm a temporary resident and a permanent outsider. I didn't speak Cantonese, feeling embarrassed every time when someone questioned why I don't speak Cantonese as someone who has been living in Guangzhou for years. And the truth to be taught, to be honest, I don't have the desire of learning it. I thought, why bother? I didn't belong here anyways. Have you ever felt like that? Living in a city, walking on the streets, drinking its water, yet feeling like everything you are watching through is behind a glass. You are there, but you aren't there. However, something different, music. Music is different for me. For people in BIGZ this year, they will know that I'm the only student who took AP Music Theory throughout the whole campus. And I'm also in band for 4 years, playing violin with Jason also, who's also here. I'm gonna have a wonderful performance later. So music means different to me, and from different professional knowledge and also my experiences, I noticed that you are passing out the language through melodies, through different music techniques, instead of knowing the lyrics. My European history teacher, Dr. S, who just finished a wonderful speech, also told me that when you want to know a country, you listen to its national anthem. Without the requirements of mastering the skills of this certain language, you are able to understand the fundamental beliefs, spiritual value, history, and ancestral things about this whole country. That simply tells me that when I want to resonate, or when I want to have a sense of belonging in Canton, I can have it through Cantonese song. So I start actively dive into the pool of Canton songs, and my dad and my mom usually tease me for being so old. So yeah, this became my song list in my QQ Music and Wang Yuyun app, which are mostly, I think, songs from last century and songs my dad listened to. So, but don't get me wrong, I'm not really a person who's nostalgic or who's dived into the world of nostalgic. Before having all of the songs, my song list was full of Travis Scott for the past, I think, half year of my 2025. So, I have this song list in printed, but that doesn't mean I felt that I'm here at Canton. The turning point occurs when I was actually far, far away from China. In the US, I was at an evening event, as usual, with my parents. I felt a bit out of place because I can't really join the conversation with the adults and my parents because I don't know them. Eventually, my parents found out that I was a bit bored, so they gave me some privilege that everyone who loves music will enjoy. The power or the privilege of choosing the next song being played on the song list for that evening night. Ultimately, I opened up my song list not for Travis Scott, but for all of these Hong Kong and Canton singers, because they were in my list. And after 4 or 5 songs, some strangers or some guests that I don't know from that party came to me and asked me a very simple question. Young lady, are you from Guangdong? I'm also from there. Normally, I would launch my usual defense mechanism. I would tell them that, you know what, to be honest, it's complicated. I moved a lot. I don't speak Cantonese, and I don't really know if I'm here or not. However, that time, thousands of miles away from China, something clicked in my heart. Instead of finding myself another excuse this time, I shake my head. I said, yes, I am. I am from Guangdong. Songs triggers emotion. Sooner or later, every guest from that party starts to talk about their history, their memories, their backgrounds, their relationship with all the songs when they're still young, and also gossips about some singers. Ultimately, I feel that I'm being joined in here, and living in Guangdong, living in Canton, watching the same sky, stepping on the same grounds, make me feel that they are the ones, they're my family, and this is a community that actually do belong. Suddenly, the music I had failed to understand before, that's in a totally different language, lyrics, but I understand the melody, become completely different for me. It was the sound of culture nostalgia. I realized that identity isn't just about geographic barriers, where you came from, where you're launched at. Instead, it's the shared heartbeat, it's a lineage that occurs between different people when they feel connected, no matter or regardless of time and space. Once we finally accept where we belong to, some funny things happen. We start actively seeking for resonance, for people who share the same heartbeat, and trying to find belonging. So I started finding connection with Canton culture too. I started learning how to act, how to have the culture of Kung Fu tea. I wrote my homework literally with the tea being hot. I also found a very special phenomenon this year, that in the winter solstice, or Dongzhi, everyone in my moment started posting one song from Eason Chen named 葡萄成熟时, which is related to this. I found out that I'm not the only one seeking for resonance under such mobilized society. Everyone from different places, regardless of time, regardless of whether they become, if they have the soul heart of Canton within themselves, they want to find resonance. Also, I found that people are more encouraging us to have this community and to develop this shared heartbeat by having offline near Pearl River, like the apples, that we can actually join, sing together with small bands, and share our heartbeat. This brings me to a much larger truth out of the borders of Guangdong. We lived in an era of unprecedented mobility. Transportation are very convenient. We can move to other city, other country, in hours of driving or an airplane trip. People are constantly moving for school, for work, for survival, even for love. We enter new cities, new countries, and new environments every second. And in order to protect ourselves, to have better adaptation, and to fit in, we develop a defense mechanism. When we try to get in or anchor ourselves in a culture, we start asking, do I have the right to say this? Do I have the authentication of claiming my belonging? And do I even belong here? Am I anchored? We question our own qualifications to love a place. If you take one thing from my speech today, I hope it would be that culture is not something it is. Culture is becoming. Culture is not a fixed, frozen monument that you must be born to in order to appreciate it. In fact, it's living, breathing river, like the Pearl River, and it's a process of inheritance, transformation, and creation. I used to think that because I don't know how to speak Cantonese, or because I have never heard about 海阔天空 when I'm 16, I was excluded from this party. I was excluded from the community of Canton. But I was wrong. My friend Justin, my friends across the Pacific Ocean, tell me that song wasn't just a reminder of what I had missed, but a missing invitation in before to tell me to join the Canton culture. No matter how nomadic your life might be, no matter how many times you have to pack your packages, and no matter how broken your language might be, like me for Cantonese, you have the right to claim the culture that moves your soul. And you don't need permission to feel the sense of belonging. Thank you.